Welcome to Deep Cuff Channel. Glorious victory of Ukraine will soon be celebrated. News from the front honor the victory of the Ukrainian army. Should the Ukrainian army increase its attacks on Russian soil? Meanwhile, Russia is trying to mobilize its soldiers, especially in the eastern region. Intense activities in the Russian Air Force draw attention. Kinburn Split may be the new center of war. Pentagon made shocking statements about the war. Turkey is sending critical aid to Ukraine. But will Russian weapons and ammunition stockpiles be enough to continue the war? With the approaching winter season, conflicts on the front may increase. Sweden and Finland took an important step towards NATO membership. Great war between Ukraine and Russia continues from where it left off today. According to the statement made by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Russia lost 500 soldiers, 3 tanks, 6 armored combat vehicles, 1 artillery system, and 7 unmanned aerial vehicles, one of the biggest losses in recent weeks. It should be noted that the vast majority of these Russian losses were in the Donbass region. On the subject, the head of the Donetsk Oblast Military Administration, Pavlo Kyrylenko, said that it was extremely difficult for the Russian army to advance in this region and that the Ukrainian defenders were fighting invincible. Kyrylenko stated that as a result of the operations carried out in the region in the last 3 days, 1,235 Russian soldiers were neutralized and 2,663 Russian soldiers were injured. It should also be noted that these numbers are only identifiable Russian losses. After these losses, the Russians, which shifted most of the operational capability of their troops to the north of the Donbass region, launched attacks on the Sumy and Chernihiv regions. According to the statement made by the Northern Operations Command of Ukraine, Russian missile and artillery units carried out a total of 40 attacks within the administrative borders of the Russian Federation. While these attacks were made on Chernihiv Oblast and Sumy Oblast alternately, the Ukrainian army responded to these attacks with the same violence. Fact that these latest attacks of Russia took place within the borders of the Russian Federation increases the desire of the Ukrainian army to conduct operations in these regions. But Western arms suppliers have banned Ukraine from launching missile attacks on Russia, as it could boost political support for Russian President Vladimir Putin's campaign. More precisely, if the Ukrainian army wanted to carry out such an attack, it forbade the use of Western weapons in this attack. Russia is currently more reserved towards Ukrainian missile and artillery units, especially in the Kharkiv region. This is due to the potential possessed by the Ukrainian troops stationed in this region. Ukrainian army aims to prevent a joint Russian and Belarusian attack from the northeast and northwest by deploying some of its most important artillery and missile units to this region. This Ukrainian strategy has been successful so far. Since the Russian army could not make any gains in the northern region, it turns all its focus to the Donbass region. Russians, especially in the last days, greatly reduced the number of their attacks on the Kherson region and directed all their forces to the Donetsk and Luhansk provinces. These regions attract attention as the places where conflicts are most intense at the moment. In addition, Russian troops began to show serious mobility in the southern region. Yevhen Yurin, head of the Joint Press Center of the Ukrainian Defense Forces on the Tavria front, reported that the Ukrainian armed forces has not yet taken control of the Kinburn Spit in Mykolaiv Oblast, and Russian troops are now regrouping there. Speaking on a television program he attended, Yevhen Yurin said, "At the moment the enemy is gathering there again. Situation unfolding at Kinburn Spit is under control. However, as of now, it is too early to say that the Ukrainian armed forces control the Kinburn Spit," he said. Nevertheless, we see that the Ukrainian troops in this region are quite successful in stabilizing the situation on the front. Russians continue to equip their positions with military equipment by strengthening their defenses. But no matter how hard Russia tries, it is weak in the face of the strength of the Ukrainian army. To compensate for this weakness, the Russian army is trying to suppress the power of the Ukrainian army by using its air and naval forces effectively. Ukrainian Air Force Command spokesman Yuri Ihnat told Ukrainian national television that Russia has increased the number of aircraft at Engels Airport in Saratov Oblast, which may mean that the Kremlin is aiming to increase its attacks in Ukraine. Meanwhile, Ihnat said the number of Russian planes is not as important as the number of missiles left for strategic bombers to launch. Again on this subject, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had previously said that Russia was preparing for new missile attacks. Although the vast majority of missiles in the Russian army's inventory are ground-based, the Russian Air Force frequently conducts operations over Ukraine. Currently, it is extremely difficult to find an airport with operational capability that can be used on Ukrainian soil. That's why Russia is removing most of the planes from Crimea and its territory. Although this situation causes a minimal restriction for the attacks of the Ukrainian army, it is possible to find a solution. Especially the Ukrainian air defense is the biggest chance in this regard. Massive air defense systems provided by Western countries are a nightmare for the Russian military. It is said that the Russian army changed its strategy at the front to bypass these air defense systems. A senior Pentagon official said at a news conference that Russia had crashed and depleted Ukraine's air defense system by launching cruise missiles with fake nuclear warheads at targets in Ukraine. Main purpose of this strategy implemented by the Russians is to exhaust the number of missiles used by air defense systems. It is precisely for this reason that the United States and Ukraine's other allies are focused on providing Ukraine with air defense, the official said. However, the paradox here is that in order for these missiles to be finished, the missiles of the Russian army must also be finished. Even if you do not attach a warhead to a missile, the engine and body of the missile you fire cannot be reused. This missile crisis of Russia began to be accepted even by the authorities in the Kremlin. Russian State Duma member Vitaly Milonov stated that although the Russian army continues to destroy the weapons supplied by the West to Kiev, the Ukrainian army still has a large amount of weapons and ammunition in its inventory. Especially the USA and Germany are counted among the countries that provide serious assistance to Ukraine in missile systems. Also, it is reported that the Ukrainian military is currently using versions of the Turkish manufacturer Roketsan's multi-barrel rocket launcher system against Russian forces. Same reports indicate that the launchers are ironically mounted on Russian-made trucks and come with precision-guided 230mm TRLG-230 artillery rockets. Arrival of Turkish systems to the front will create a serious problem for Russia. Vladimir Putin aims to change his stance against the Ukraine war by constantly meeting with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. However, the Turkish army expresses that it stands by Ukraine at every opportunity. In addition, Turkey is preparing to take important steps for NATO. Other day, an important meeting was held between Sweden, Finland, and Turkey regarding the acceptance of the Scandinavian countries into NATO. In this meeting, Sweden and Finland announced that the Scandinavian countries have made significant progress towards their admission to NATO and an agreement with Turkey. Swedish Foreign Minister Tobias Bjorström said in a statement on the second day of the meeting of foreign ministers of NATO member countries, "We had a very nice bilateral meeting between Sweden, Finland, and Turkey yesterday, and I felt that progress was made after this meeting." Among the 13 NATO member countries, Turkey and Hungary are the only countries that do not approve the applications of Scandinavian countries. It is known that both countries have expectations from Sweden and Finland. If these expectations are met, the number of NATO members will increase. We will continue to monitor the world and especially Ukraine. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.